currently digging up some stats. This time we got the ground type, a type that is very offensively orientated, and that's really it. So here we go, 50 useless ground type stats. As usual, only the regular and regional forms will be in the count, not alternatives or megas, unless stated otherwise. Let's just start. The ground type on average has the lowest special attack amongst all types. The region that released the fewest amount of ground type Pokemon was the Kalos region, and released a total of 2 ground type Pokemon. Removing regional forms from the count, Kanto released the most amount of ground types with 14. This is more than Kalos, Alola, and Galar combined. Kalos and Paldea are the only 2 regions to never release a mono ground type Pokemon. Paldea did it with 7 Pokemon. Ground is the only type super effective against Electric, and is tied for having the most amount of super effective advantages at 5. There are a total of 8 Pokemons that gain the ground type upon evolution. Only 3 Pokemon loses the ground type upon evolution: Pupitar, Cubone, and Nincada. Nincada does it twice. 3 ground type Pokemon has a base stat total of 250 or lower. They are all associated with the Johto region. The most common base stat for ground type is 300, which happened a total of 5 times. The most common ground dual typing is ground and rock and ground and water, both tied at 9. Out of all type, ground is the only type that doesn't contain a Pokemon which starts with the letter A. 6 ground type Pokemon has 35 or less HP. 5 of them are associated with the Kanto region. 5 ground types allocate 10% or less of all their stats to HP. All of them are associated with the Kanto region. 2 ground type has 150 or higher defense. Both of them are from the same evolution line. Larvitar is the only ground type Pokemon with equalized bulk and offense scores. The 2 fastest ground type Pokemon are from the same evolution line. The only ground type Pokemon to double its base stat upon evolution is Wooper. It does this twice. 45 ground type Pokemon has 50 or higher speed. None came from the Alola region. Camerupt and Numel are both in the top 3 for special attack allocation by a ground type Pokemon. Donphan is the only ground type Pokemon to have both of its physical stats exactly double its special stats. 4 ground type Pokemon allocate 60% or more of all their base stats towards offensive stats. All of them came from the Diglett line. If physical stats were removed, both Woopers would be tied for the lowest at 160. If special stats were removed, both Woopers and Geodude would be tied for the lowest at 120. If special stats were removed, Groudon would have the highest base stat at 480. If physical stats were removed, Sandy Shocks would have the highest base stat at 392. Groudon and Tinglu are tied for having the combination of their best 3 stats combined at 390. Halfway done, just letting you guys know my favorite ground type Pokemon is Garchomp, because it's a shark reptile dragon with spikes. What else do you need? The largest bulk to offense gap is Steelix with 170. These are the average stats amongst all ground type Pokemon. Marshtomp, Mudbray, and Pupitar are all within 15 points of the averages. Likewise, only Groudon isn't within 21 points of any of the averages. Both of the Woopers are tied for being the worst physical sweeper, special sweeper, and special tank amongst all ground type Pokemon. Groudon is the best physical tank and physical sweeper amongst all ground type Pokemon. Sandy Shocks is the best special tank and special sweeper amongst all ground type Pokemon. Landorus has the highest offense amongst all ground type Pokemon with a score of 341. Tinglu has the highest bulk amongst all ground type Pokemon at a score of 360. Palpitoad is the only ground type Pokemon to have equal as attack and defense scores. 2 ground type Pokemon has a triple digit defense gap. Both of them came from the same evolution line. Ursaluna has the largest attack gap amongst all ground type at 95. 5 ground type Pokemon has a triple digit special defense value. 3 of them came from the Paldea region. 28 ground type has 75 or more special defense. None of them came from the Johto region. 21 ground type has over 100 attack. None came from the Kalos region. 58 ground type has a speed stat of 75 or lower. None came from the Kalos region. 4 out of the top 8 highest base stat amongst ground type Pokemon came from the Paldea region. The highest value of special attack being greater than attack for ground type is 40, done by Sandy Shocks. And there's still no ground type Pokemon that has a special attack value 1.5 times or more than their attack value. Hippowdon has the highest HP amongst all mono ground type Pokemon at 108. Runerigus has the highest bulk out of all ground type with a base stat below 500. Landorus is the only ground type with all its offensive values at triple digit. The only unused ground type combination is Ground and Fairy. The first and most recent mono ground type Pokemon both start their name with the word sand. 426 is the average base stat for ground types. The closest to this average is 425, done by 3 Pokemon, all associated with the Kanto region. These are the average allocation of stats amongst all ground types. Only Nidoqueen and Marshtomp are within 2.7% of each of the averages. Likewise, only Rhyhorn isn't within 4 percentage points of any of the averages. Yeah, those are 50 useless stats about the ground type. What type do you want to see next? And that's about it.